I'm sorry guys, man. I'm sorry about the interruption of the scheduled video. I have to make an announcement. The power of the GC compels me. It demands attention. It has spoken to me to tell you guys to make a response video to what would you do if you had the GC. It's not going to be long before I'm ridden completely insane because the GC, it's taking control over everything. So with that, I'm going to end this transmission with this message. Be warned, it's coming for you.
Hi guys, welcome to another edition of GamingNight. Today we're going to show you the components for Talisman, break down the game on how it plays, and show you some gameplay with me discussing and how what's all about going on. So, and then finally my review. So let's first take a look at the components here. First we have the die, which is one of the most important components of Talisman. Here you will be using it quite frequently for rolling for movement, checking outcomes on the board, and battle and other odds and ends. It's pretty much used for quite a lot, for almost everything in the game. So yeah, you got the talisman, which marks the 1, and then the 6 is just a 6. So you know when you roll the die what you're dealing with. And then you have the bag of gold, which you will start with one of these tokens at the beginning of the game. Everyone starts with 1 gold. And then you will then have 4. You'll start the game with a token, which is the 4. I don't know if you guys can see it because it's kind of embroidered on the thing, but it's a 4. And then you have character cards. Now each character card has its own stats. Now this toad here is not a character you're going to get in the game as a character, but through the course of the game, some cards will tell you become a toad. You get spells cast on you, become a toad, or an event on the board will make you become a toad. So it's usually a card that you don't ever get as a character. And then you have the actual characters, which in this case is a wizard, and each character has its strengths and weaknesses. Now the strength here is marked and with a red marker that you will place on next to your character, and it's denoted, and your strength can never go below the amount on there. And then you have craft, which is marked by a blue chit that goes next to your character. And then you have a spot for your objects down here, and these basically you only have up to 4 objects. And then down here is where you put all your followers. And then if you're playing with the upgrade pack, was what I'm having, you can play it. There's little fate tokens. And each character gets a certain amount of fate. And fate just allows you to re-roll die for any circumstances that you need to you roll your die for movement, for attacking, a board event that you didn't like your results. But once you roll that die with the fate token, you basically you have to use the result re-roll. And of course there's a spot for your gold, and then there's your special abilities. For example, the wizard, you'd be in the game with 2 spells, and you usually don't have spells to begin with, and each character based on their craft can have so many spells in their possession, and if they do have more, ever do get more, they have to decide which one they don't want. And another thing is when you attack another character, you may choose to make the attack a psychic combat. You may not do this when you are attacked by another character. So you can, in this game you can attack the monster that's on the board, or you can attack another player character for whatever reason. And as you noticed, the characters, this is a troll, and he has a higher strength, but he doesn't have as much craft. So each character has a really different way to play it. So you're going to have to, either decide if you want to play the game with the rules say randomly select a character, so everyone has a character at random, or you basically all decide that you decide in advance who's going to get what. Because some characters have more, are better to start the game for beginners with than others. But then some characters can be easily exploited. And these are the miniatures. I painted this one. I painted them, but basically, essentially, you're not going to, depending on what version of the game you have, you're going to either have cardboard cutouts. I had to go and buy the upgrade pack for mine, which came with fate tokens and replacement cards. So that's essentially that. Now we're going to look at some other stuff. We're going to look at the spells, at least some of them, anyways, and go in detail on how they are. Now this is a spell. This is weakness. This you can cast any time on a character or creature. The creature's is lowered by 3 as strength is until the end of the turn. A character's strength may not be lowered below its strength value. So this is just so you can attack, helps you, wizards and other things attack them, or you just downright want to be mean to somebody when you want to on their turn. So and then you got a cast mobility spell. This allows you to have a character lose a turn, or allows you to evade a monster, because monsters you have to attack them when you encounter them, unless you have a card or spell that allows you to do things. And then you have this random spell here. This is where the dice come in handy. You would actually then roll 1 die, and it's completely random. There's a lot of stuff on here that's good, but then there's a lot of stuff like bad, like becoming a toad for 3 turns. That's where I told you that toad card comes in handy. Lose craft, which is not cool. Gain 1 strength and gain 1 life. There's more. It's kind of like, one of those things you don't know if you really want to cast that spell, but sometimes in the game it's probably your only way to get around things. Then we have the talisman, which is basically what you're eluding to get in the game, to actually eventually get to the game to win the game. Now, we also have a purchase deck, and this is the purchase deck. This is stuff that you can buy when you go to merchants and stuff in the game, or it says, hey, event card says you may buy something from here at the cost. So there's a whole bunch of good stuff there. And now these are the adventure decks. This is the one you're going to be drawing from the most of the game. You have stuff like an object like gold, which is good. An object that helps you battle, which is sword, which is a good thing. To a magical object that allows you to do good things in the game, like this one adds 2 to your craft. And then you have a follower that gives you special abilities, or maybe even curse you in certain circumstances. Then you have things like strangers that come into town, and they do all kinds of things, like they might set up shop, or they might heal you. And then we have the encounters you can have. There's 2 different kinds of encounter types you can have. You can have an encounter that deals with strength, which is what you have. This is a strength 6, and when you battle them, you roll a 6-sided dice. You add your strength to your to die roll. So if your strength's 2 and you roll a 6, if you have strength 8, they roll a die. Someone rolls a die for them, and they add it. So if they roll a 1 and their strength 6, that's gonna be a 7. So then that's how that goes. And then there's the type where their strength's craft. So you have to use craft when. So if a character's got really bad craft, they're going to suck at that. Then you have places that stay the remaining of the game that hinder you or can help you. This one, in this case, there may be a room here for us game. Whenever you land here, if you have less than 5 craft, you must end your turn. So that's really your turn ends. You can't do absolutely anything. It's a wasted space, and it's if it just comes in fills up in a space that has only 1 card you put there, then it really hurts. An event card, when you have come with Vengeance, the Blizzard here, this basically just affects either the outcome of the board. This can hinder players. This is like a 1 and done usually. And then you have the expansion, which I had dungeon, and these usually make you move to the dungeon and stuff like that. And then the dungeon expansion, you have the dungeon duck here. So, and these are just like everything else in the adventure deck, but these things are a lot more deadly. And then just if you make it to the tomb in the dungeon deck, dungeons expansion, and survive the beast at the end, you get to randomly draw. You get to draw one of these cards from the top of the deck, which does some really good things. And of course, you can get a talisman that way as well. So that's that. We're gonna go into the next part of the video, which part 2 of the video, is gonna be how the gameplay works. Okay. So now, I'm just gonna basically roll a die from a character, and I rolled a 1, as you can see here. So I can either choose to move to the woods or the graveyard here, or I'm sorry, woods or the fields. It really doesn't matter because this one says draw a card when you get there, and since there's no card here or there, I basically just take the top card from the adventure deck, flip it over, and see what I have. And I have to battle a bandit with straight 4. So once I said in combat, you will then take your die. I rolled a 5. I'm going to take that 5 because my strength's only like a 2, and see what they get. They roll a 6, so I'm going to lose 1 life. And you basically, that's what you do if you face that. Now let's take a look at the troll over here, and we'll see what he gets. He gets a 2. 1, 2. Now he can go to the chapel. Now if he's evil, if you lose 1 life if you go here. Or if you're neutral, you maybe heal back up to your starting quota. So he may not want to be there if he's an evil character, which he is. Or you can take his chance in the woods. So and then if you're good, so it's all can come into effect where you can go in the game. So he's unfortunately stuck going to the woods because you don't want to deal with the bad stuff. But sometimes you might want to. In this case, he met a stranger. And enchanter seeks a valuable adventure to the first character landing here with a craft 4 or more. If you don't have craft 4 or more, that card is he's hosed, and then this will stay here until someone else with that capability. So as you're going through the game, you're basically, some cards will stay on the board. If you don't defeat them, they'll stay on the board. So it gets really clustered really quickly.